just showed like how Hojlund just starts every game with like the mindset. His alertness was like very refreshing to see. I
Yeah, he's always chasing, and I feel like that's really ideal for our like transition style of play.
Hello and welcome to the post-match. United played Luton, and what do you think, Nihal? Like, how do you think this match went? What is the like main reaction from this game?
5-5 is my reaction. Like we won
Yeah,
5 we won 5 on a trot, and that's like the bigger picture is like really good because like we've never had string of results. Individual performances, like individually this game, I felt like we were definitely like I don't know, like other games I didn't feel that like uncomfortable, but this game I was feeling a lot of emotions because I feel like credit to Luton. After they conceded the second goal, they came back in really strong, and I feel
right.
like they had a lot of moments between the 10th minute and the 70th minute, and eventually they ran out of legs, and then the intensity went down. But between those, they clearly had like the better chances. They were like dominating throughout the pitch. It didn't help that like we had some yellow cards, injuries, but that was my take. I was actually at the end of the game, I'm happy that we got the 3 points, but there are still
Right.
like this team like not done yet. There's still some things to improve, uh, but happy nonetheless.
Yeah, it's a big 3 points. Like right now, we are just on the foot of Aston Villa right now. I think we're 5 points off them after
Yeah.
today's game, and even yesterday, I think Tottenham dropped points. So it was an important win from an overall top four, top five run like chase for
Yep.
the rest of the season. That's like going to be the theme of United's season so far, I guess. Like what's to come. But I
Yep.
think it was a good start from United. Like we usually don't see too many goals scored up front,
Yeah.
and it just showed like how Hojlund just starts every game with like the mindset to like just like to perform like every single time, and he chases
Yeah.
every ball every single time, and it's very easy, I feel, to sometimes just start the game off slow, and just
Mhm.
like seeing his alertness was like very refreshing to see. I don't think like we have had a striker with that instinct, that young a striker with that instinct in a while at Old Trafford.
Yeah, he's always chasing, and I feel like that's really ideal for our like transition style of play because we
Yeah,
rely heavily on like quick transitions and counters and like winning the ball high up the pitch and like and he really complements that style of play. Like we are never the
yeah,
ones, we were never in the history the ones to like hold the ball, bring everyone in. We were always all about like those
yeah.
quick moves,
Mhm.
right? So I feel like he fits into the DNA and the culture of the club a bit more. And since Van Persie, we've never had a good striker, to be fair. And Hoyland, there's a lot
That
of
was 10 years ago.
yeah. And
Van
when
Persie was like almost 10, yeah.
and Van Persie was like 29 when he came to the club. On the contrary,
Yeah.
like we have Hoyland at 20 and now just turned 21. And I don't recall we scoring like a 37-second goal in the past ever. So that's a plus.
The last one that comes to mind was Chicharito against Chelsea. I think like there was one game where like we just scored right from the bat. That was
Yeah.
cool. So that reminded me of today. Reminded me of that, but it was a nervy finish. And I feel like after like getting the lead, we tend to sort of, like sit back a bit and invite the pressure. And I think that's where Luton got the chance to come into the game today, and they really did really well.
Yeah.
And set pieces again, like we are very very vulnerable from set pieces.
Yeah.
Like, do you think that's an issue that's being happening so far at United?
I mean, to be fair to Ten Hag and his coaching staff, like in this game also, like they had to replace two of the four starting defenses, right? So
Right.
it's always tough because I mean, I'm just trying to empathize with him. It's rough when you think from his perspective that like he's always had to like chop and change and stuff like that. And set piece routines are like a lot to do with how you train, right? And it depends on like who's marking who, like, and like all of that thing getting ironed out, and it's not helping his cause that like we are changing the defense as much. And I don't think it's this
Right.
problem at any other club, right? We've had like 13 different combinations of center back pairings, I believe, and 14 if you take this game into account. And just center backs, like throw fullbacks
Yeah,
into
that's
that mix,
crazy, bro.
and throw fullbacks into that mix, that number will just like shoot up. And it's hard. Luton were always that physical team, right? Like which were aerial threat, like they are like, the traditional English setup where they rely a lot on the physicality. So all in all, I'm like, I don't want to blame Ten Hag too much for the defensive
Mhm.
fatalities. And just going back to your point, right? Like we are sitting back too comfortably after the second goal that we score, or a goal that we score in lead. I feel like that is a natural progression of the game. Like the other team, like if you score two up front, the other team has nothing to lose at that point. Like they have to try and win the
Right.
pressure. And we need to do better in terms of game management, like managing that situation, like, keeping the ball a bit more. And I think that is where like we need to tweak and do things better. Do you think, are you happy with the front three and the midfield three at the moment?
I'm okay with the front three with Hojlund, given his recent form, and even Garnacho for that matter. Rashford is sort of coming in back to the zone, not even compared to close to last season, but he's still at least looking better than how he started this season. So I think front three is possibly in the best shape we have had all season so far right now. But
Yeah.
midfield, yeah, Mino is a great bonus to have, but I think Bruno had a really poor game today. Like he
Yeah.
seemed completely off. Like bad passes, not converting shots, like easy chances.
Yeah.
I think he needed a pick me up, and I think the team suffered a bit because of that. We could have had a easier finish to the game if we had finished those chances. And I think
Yeah.
just Casemiro, man, like we've had this three in the midfield of Manu, Casemiro, and Bruno. And Casemiro, I think even last game he picked up a yellow. It shouldn't have been a yellow, but today he was lucky to not get sent off, right? I think. And
Yeah.
that is a big problem. Like you don't know what kind of a result Casemiro is going to bring to you. Yes, he has the experience, but he's a bit unreliable in terms of like making fouls and like putting the team in a bit of a spot, I feel sometimes.
Yeah. And I think, first of all, like just on a lighter note, his reactions are extremely funny. He catches out in a fall. It's
Yeah.
like, no me, no me. Like ridiculous. And I think the commentators also pointed out that he has the best reactions to getting a
Yeah.
yellow card, which was hilarious. But I completely get your point, because he is the midfield pivot. He is our last line between, like, what connects the team, the spine of the team.
Right.
And if he picks up a early yellow, the entire team is on the nerves, and it's kind of rough. We have to figure it out, but I somehow want him to like keep the intensity that he comes in with, like the tackles and stuff like that, but just be more intelligent with the kind of fouls that he's doing. Like if you are clearly behind the player, just don't go for it. Just keep the pressure with him and stuff like that. But if the ball's at you, ball is in front of you, go for it. Right? It's just simple equation. Like because I feel like he's lost some legs and he can't just chase back and get into the shape. But I know, everything feels like water under the bridge, because like we won 3 points, we would have had a different conversation. That dropped the points, but that's the beauty of this game. Like sometimes when you win, you just tend to overlook, and I won't complain for 5-5, 5-5, baby.
Yeah, definitely. That's like we've had a big run, very important run at a crucial time, and now Ten Hag doesn't even have too many excuses right left. Like his players are sort of back, like most of his midfield and forward at least. So yeah, 5-5 is what we need.
And
Also, I just wanted to like give some credit to Luton, like given how they've played so far this season. Like they drew against the big dogs Liverpool, and like even the Arsenal game, they were like sort of, the Arsenal fans were scared. I remember while watching the match, and they beat Brighton 4-0. They lost just by a game to City. They drew with Newcastle. So Luton have been playing pretty well, pretty like football played with like a lot of heart, I feel, and I think they deserve some respect after the performance they had today.
yeah, and I feel like their performances are especially better against like so-called big teams, like the top 9.
Yeah.
Right? They've had this random dip against like bottom dwellers and stuff like that. But like when they face Brighton, to your point, Newcastle, Liverpool, City, Arsenal and even United. United both fixtures, home and away. I thought they were brilliant, right? So
Yeah.
I think Edwards is cooking something at Luton, and I think the players are also like really bought into the whole philosophy of how it's going to be. I really hope that they don't go down and they stay in the league because I love their stadium. Like,
Yeah. You
it's just,
weirdly feel like supporting Luton for some reason.
yeah, it's just like
What a great story. Yeah.
homely feel, like
Mhm.
someone who are in like League Two just got promoted
Yeah.
so many places up, so it just feels really nice. But as a neutral, it's really easy to like feel for
Mhm.
right now, especially after the performance that they put in. Um, but it is what it is. I actually wanted to ask you
Yeah.
about something. You mentioned that we were 5 points off Aston Villa, 3 points off Spurs. Question number one: we don't have a direct game with them anymore in the Premier League, so we can't influence. We just have to hope that they fuck up, like how Spurs fucked up at Wolves this weekend. And so, how important is it for us to actually like take points off like the bigger teams that are coming up? Because we face Newcastle, we face Brighton, I believe. We also face, like, we have everyone that we can think of. We have Chelsea, we have the top three left. So
Mhm.
I can think of like 5 to 6 tough fixtures in the remaining like 13. And yes, we are in a good run of form and good moment at this point, but I feel like if we don't get, like, say, at least 4 wins out of those 6, it's going to be really complicated for us. Do you get that sense? Do you get that feeling too?
Yeah, definitely. And like definitely like get 4 wins out of those. Like I think City away is going to be a very difficult game. But I like United at home might just even like end up drawing a couple of games against the big ones.
Yeah.
So the squad knows the importance of like what they're playing for right now. It's pretty clear, it's pretty evident that it's on them and everything that they have to do, and that sort of also brings in the importance of games like what we had today, right? Like
Yeah.
we can't go and win against Liverpool, let's say, and then drop points against Luton.
Yeah.
That just like undoes all the hard work that we're doing as a team. So
Yeah.
I think what Ten Hag said, that every game is a final, I think he is giving the message to the squad. Squad knows it. So I think like those 6 games that you mentioned, Brighton, Newcastle, City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, I think, yeah, if we even like draw 2 of those games, and I'm guessing like even Aston Villa and Tottenham will have to play a few of these teams. So with how the things have been progressing so far, I have a tiny glimmer of hope. I don't want to be too optimistic and make the same mistakes as before, but let's see. Maybe top 5 is enough.
Yeah, maybe top 5 is enough. And to the listeners, there is a really good chance of like 5 teams going to the Champions League from England next year, provided that we have deep runs in the other European competitions, which look more likely, because I feel like Arsenal, City are like really front runners for Champions League. Liverpool, there is no one better in Europa other than Liverpool, and I feel like Aston Villa is also doing like a good run in conference. So let's see. And that's another point. Like Aston Villa has Conference League, so don't know what direction they take and how that game load will affect them. So interesting times, man. Like, who knew that like not being in Champions League would help our season in a way, or even in Europa, right? Like finishing 4th.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of the opposite of what we had last season. We were in every tournament till the very end, I think. And yeah, I think this one is slightly more relaxing to the players, given like our injuries that we have had this season. But okay, I think let's do some player ratings for today's match. So okay, starting from the top, Hojlund.
Ooh, dude, I want to give him an 8.5 out of 10. The reason is that like he did give us both the goals, and second goal was like lucky, but like it's like he's a sheet, and the intent is there. The boys linking up with the other players, and we are definitely a better side with him in the thing. He might actually also be my player of the match, but let's see. What do you think of the other two, Rashford and Garnacho?
I think Garnacho was good. He made a couple of like he didn't finish a couple of chances that he should have, and that I don't know how somebody can miss those like open fucking goals, man. But I think it was not his best, but it was not bad either. So I think I'll give him like a 7 today.
What about
Like an
that?
average Garnacho 7. Rashford, again, I think he had like a couple of good shots on target, which we have like seen to like be like very wide off the mark in previous games, like
Yeah.
completely blasting it off into the roof or something. And today, I think he seemed a little more focused. So again, I think I'll give him a 7 for that. I would have been a bit harsh to him if not.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Also, too, for Hojlund, I think the second goal, I actually think he intended to finish it like that. I don't know why, because like, yeah, it's too cool, man. I'll give him a 9 for that, just because of how he finished it.
Intelligence and presence. No, fair. Yeah, let's move to the midfield. What did you think of the pivot, like Casemiro and then his replacement Scott?
Oh, Scott is not a midfielder anymore. But no, I think poor decision making from Casemiro in general, like picking up those cards and everything. So I'll just probably give him a 6. Mainu probably a 7. He did not have too much of an influence, I feel, but even then whatever he did, he sort of helped the team stabilize a bit in midfield, and I think that was good. Bruno was probably like a 5 or a 6 to me. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree with Meno. I would probably rate him a little bit higher, 7.5 to 8. The only reason is because I feel like he didn't do anything wrong, like in the game. He played his role to perfection, like he was there on both ends of the field. And the greatest thing about Meno is that he's making Bruno look very average, like in the midfield, he's clearly feeling the pressure and like fucking up so much, Bruno. And for that, I think I'll just give Bruno a 4 because there was nothing in this game that he did. Casemiro, I want to give him credit for the first goal because like he saw that presence like of Hojlund running and he just blasted into that space. And his deliveries are like insane, and I like him. And it was just, I think, a very tactical decision from Ten Hag to like sub him off because he had like an orangish card, the second one.
Right.
So he just didn't be in Luton with 10 men. So I'd agree with 6. I hope he gets his shit together. Scott McTominay, to be fair to him, the super sub, I didn't see him in the second half. I don't know what he did. So I refuse to rate Scott McTominay for this game.
Yeah. I mean, he's not visible in the midfield at all. He's just like a second extra striker or something at best.
Yeah, I think he's like bought into that role. He's looking at this goal contribution and be like, "Bhai, mujhe to aaj striker hi hai." I'm replacing Casemiro. I don't care. I'll just be up front, do my shit.
He's Scotland's striker now. Yeah.
Yes. He's United's second striker in every way possible, so we can't discount that. Yeah. Let's move to the defense. You want to start with Onana?
I'll give him a 7. I think the goal that went in, he couldn't really do too much. I mean, he tried to sort of make himself big and it went through, and it's okay. I mean, that's not something you can blame a keeper for. Yeah. But in general, I think he made like a few good saves and he held his nerve. Like, I mean, even he has not had a very good easy season so far, and I think this was a pretty solid performance from Onana in general. So 7, I'd say.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. Like, I think he did everything to his best ability, right? And he had like a bunch of saves. To be, I think Luton could have done better with finishing, but like they've done everything else, right? So that's fair. I'd agree with the 7. Do you want to move to Dalot?
I don't know. I think he played well. Probably a 7.5.
Yeah. What I like about Dalot a lot right now is that he has a lot of like passion that he brings to like the Licha kind of energy that he brings to the defense.
Right.
In the 92nd minute, I remember I saw him making that lung-busting run to like, put the right tackle in and gave away a corner. But I feel like he is like one of those like all in for the batch kind of players. There is still a lot of like things that he can improve, like his end delivery and in attack.
Yeah.
stuff like that. But yeah, I really like him right now. And I was previously, when the season started, I thought we needed a right back, but maybe we don't need a really good right back, and we just need a right back in training, who can like feed off of him, because I think Dallo can be a starter.
Yeah, Dallo has been playing really well. He's like Loki, one of my favorites this season, like in top 5 for the squad.
Yeah. And let's look at the other player who finished the game, because the other two defenders who they didn't, we'll talk about them, but Varane. How do you rate him?
Again, I think like he was sort of like a stabilizing presence in the defense, and the only reason I'll give him a good rating is because he didn't do anything particularly wrong, but he also wasn't like extremely outstanding like most of the squad today.
Yeah,
I think that's the theme of this match today. Like nothing too wrong, but nothing too great either.
Yeah.
So another 7 from me.
Just got 2 early goals and then like rested on
Yeah.
those. Yeah,
The game sort of died off after 14 minutes. Like that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't think he didn't do anything wrong, and I think he was that leader presence in the defense. So I'd agree with that rating. Let's move to the 2 players who started the game and they were hooked off at halftime. I want to start with Shaw, because I know on the group chat we're getting a lot of hate on Shaw, particularly from Vamsi. So I just want to get your opinion.
Bro, I love Shaw. I think United is a better side. Yeah, bro, always. United is a better side with Shaw in it, bro. Like even like whether it's like the partnership with Rashford when they're two playing together, and even at defense, like he's a very good defensive left back as well. He knows how to put in the tackle. He knows how to when to sort of not commit. He can also play as like a center half if required. So he's a big player in the side. It's just that his injury issues keep plaguing the team. But it's going to be a big miss if he's out for a while after today's injury. I hope he's not. But just from the first half, I'd probably give him like a 6.5, 7 today. Probably not his best game, but he's an important player for the team.
Yeah, I agree, and I just want to quickly go to Harry Maguire, because like this is what's really confusing about Harry, is that like he comes off from a really good performance last game at a really tough ground, and just comes in and like looks all over the place. And it was good that he got hooked, because he was very nervy, like he was just not feeling it. He was like the pace of Luton Town was probably getting to him. I think Tahit Chong was having a field day. He was like, Beta, Carrington mein dekha tha. I know what his weaknesses are. I'm just gonna go after him. And there were a couple of things, and then but all with all respect, I didn't expect that he'd get hooked, but he did. So that's another extremely interesting look. But overall, I think Harry Maguire didn't deserve anything above 5 on 10 for this game.
True.
And rightfully,
I agree with that.
Yeah. And I think just a special shout out to Jonny Evans, because coming in a second half and just doing it at his age of 37. What is he now? 38.
Yeah.
Putting in a shift, especially after watching your team get cooked in the second half of the first half, like in the second part of the first half, and then he did not put a foot wrong. He was there. He was heading the balls away, like he was right there. And I just want to give him a 7 on 10, because like he just did the job. He came in and did the job.
But there was this one, I think, chance we had where Garnacho was on the right, get broken from the back, and there was this one random dude running at the top of the screen towards the goal, and it was fucking Jonny Evans. Like, I was what? Like, you don't expect to see a 38-year-old defender like running to the opposition's goal trying to score.
Yeah,
it's like crazy.
He's all for that. He's all heart. He's all heart, and he's all United. So that's good. Yeah, I think Fergie's wet dream is coming to life, where he wanted to pair Varane and like Jonny Evans for the
Jonny Evans.
Just like it almost feels like his death wish coming to true life. Just feel like I think the only thing that will make him more happy is if we get Lewandowski and Schneider somehow on a free contract or something. Fergie will be like, I told you boys, I told you it was in 2012 to bring these players, and you're getting them in 2024.
Now, yeah.
It's so funny. Um, cool. Just quickly, our next fixture, like Manchester United. We are playing drum rolls. We are playing
Fulham.
Fulham at home and Nottingham Forest away. That's the FA Cup, but Fulham is our last Premier League fixture for this month. What are we expecting?
I would take another. Like, we definitely need to win because our next game in the league is City,
Yeah,
and I don't have much hopes from that. So 3 points is very much the need of the hour against Fulham. It's at home as well.
yeah,
I'm imagining it'll be like a game similar to today's, where we are not fully convincing, but we sort of get the job done. What do
yeah.
you think?
Yeah. No, I agree because Fulham is a dangerous team sometimes. Marco Silva sets them up really well. And my biggest problem with United right now is that, like, I think every game that we've played in these last 5 games, we've allowed 20 shots, and that's not good. That's not good enough in any way because you can't have your fucking opponents like take 20 shots on like at you, right? Like, it's just not sustainable. Someday we're gonna like crack under it, and I think we need to put a lid on it because Luton having 20 shots and getting away with 1 goal is a story, but like Liverpool, Arsenal, and City having 20 shots, they'll definitely murder you. So we got to get our shit together, and hopefully the defense sorts itself out.
Yeah. And it's been happening also. Like, we've been losing pretty badly against these teams. And that's the reason. Like, we're not able to control the attacks coming towards us. So I think that's a good point you raised. Like, we need to sort of get our shit together before we face City. Yeah. Okay, I think we can wrap today's preview. Thank you for watching, and please like, share, and subscribe to our channel if you guys like our content. Thank you so much.